Office of the Medical Examiner, Pete'sville. Dr. Jack Hanman is speaking. How can I help you?
Good evening, this is Kate Brooks. I'm not sure if you remember me. A few weeks ago, we talked about an article I'm working on. It's about your wife. I dropped by last Friday to speak to you, but you weren't working at the time. I asked the security guard to pass on a note for me. I would like us to discuss the topic of...
I thought I had made it painfully obvious for the last time. No! Please don't call me again and stop inquiring about my wife. Damn journalists. They don't let me work. God damn it. I'm not in the best frame of mind to record a lecture for my students now. I'm feeling completely broken. Where did I leave my meds this time? It won't be needed for the next few months. They definitely pay me too little for this. Stephen didn't clean up after himself again. Wednesday. It's not my favorite day, although it's certainly better than Monday. I guess it was in another life. Awful. It would be good to finally repair the coffee machine. Okay, time to pull myself together. And get back to work. I've already taken my pills, not looking to overdose. I need to set up the camera first. But the word is, the lab will be open tomorrow. This place is starting to look like a hoarder's dream. Now remember, Jack, don't forget to hit the record button this time. Hopefully the new tripod is going to hold up. Now, I just have to get everything in frame. This should be fine. November 20th, 1991. Time, 8:43 p.m. Recording for medical students from the University of... Missouri. This autopsy is conducted by Jack Hanman. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the autopsy room. Today, you will have the dubious pleasure of following a full autopsy, step by step. For those of you who have already performed your first autopsy, this will refresh. Let's start. Always wear an apron, mask, and gloves. Goggles are a must when the job is splashy. And in case of sharp accidents, it's worth having disinfectants at hand. It's true that you won't get ptomaine poisoning straight away, but if your liver or kidney aren't doing well, you may end up with diarrhea. The cadaver is placed on its back on the autopsy table. The pathologist stands on the right of the deceased. Make sure that all the necessary tools are always at hand so that you don't have to run around looking for something, like I do all the time. In the process of revealing and securing forensic evidence, it is difficult not to interfere with the original condition of the deceased. Written and photographic documentation plays a vital role throughout the entire examination process. During your research, be patient, inquisitive, but above all, attentive to detail. Many entries are visible at first glance, but sometimes they can be cover for more interesting stories. And lastly, remember that nothing teaches you self-narration like working with the dead. So get used to that fact soon. Everyone will think you're talking to yourself. Now, on to the police folder. That will contain all sorts of pertinent information as to who the deceased might be and what potentially happened to them. So, let's take a closer look, shall we? I wasn't sure it would amount to anything, but the World Wide Web has been a blessing for speeding up my work. Some of my previous cases, a reminder of more prosperous times. Poor soul. I get cases like this more than any other. It's been a while since the eye wash in this thing was changed. It's probably a health hazard now. My old but trusted centrifuge. Ideal for all the fluid tests I need to perform during an autopsy. The deceased's name is Tobias Chambers. Signs of libation were found around the body. Empty bottles, traces of an inept attempt to start a fire, and a scattered makeshift blanket. The deceased was found on the outskirts of a parking lot at a gas station, where he often begged and persistently offered drivers to wash their car windows. The body was noticed by a station employee during the morning shift. Initially, he thought that someone had thrown some boots and a coat in a nearby ditch. It took him a moment to recognize the pile of clothes as the body of a man. He worked most of his life at the local port dealing with unloaded cargo. He was fired for being drunk and starting fights. His son runs a hardware store on his own. His wife left him years ago. They both had no contact with the deceased. That's it. It's worth remembering the context around the scene of a death. This allows you to better interpret any traces found on the body. I shouldn't start the procedure without gloves. Now it's our turn to take some pictures for our files. If I can just remember where I left the camera. It's in here somewhere. Aha! There you are. I knew it was here somewhere. As I mentioned at the beginning, before we begin the internal examination, we need to document the cadaver and the condition it arrived in. We begin with a full body photo. Try and stick to the top-down rule, but this is not always possible. Let's keep in mind it's all about the legibility, not the perfect frame. Voila! Now we move on to the next step, looking for traces. Take your time. Look at the corpse from different sides, from different angles, up close, and from a distance. You're looking for anything out of the ordinary. The poorly healed wound. Looks old. I'll take a closer look later. Some wounds in the feet and signs of frostbite, probably because the subject's shoes were too small. That's something interesting. It will be necessary to check whether this injury was severe enough to cause damage to the brain. Hardened hands, worn out by physical work, and frostbite? In a moment, we will check which of our initial observations will be worthy of further consideration. But before we get to that, I need to write down some basic data. Scalpel, scissors, syringe, magnifying glass, knife. I guess I forgot to clean the knife. It's been a while since the eye. It's probably. Personal information. The deceased was unclothed. Date. Okay. As you can see, I note everything down on previously prepared forms. Every pathologist must keep a detailed record of every step of the autopsy. This not only allows you to track the procedure, but also collates the results together, upon which you may back up your conclusions. So, enough of the boring prep. Let's begin by taking a closer look at the spots I photographed earlier. For this, you're going to need a magnifying glass. Which spot first? I can confirm the presence of ecchymosis on the deceased man's head. The appearance indicates the intravital nature of the wound. Add alcohol, which I can clearly smell, and this was an accident just waiting to happen. It looks like a burn mark, no doubt painful, but it's not pertinent for this case. Here we can see frostbite on the fingertips. We can tell by the characteristic skin color. Definitely a painful mix of frostbite, abrasions, and blisters. Old Toby had been wearing shoes too small for him for a very long time. That's if he wore any at all. So far, there are a lot of superficial wounds, but only one serious injury to the head. Let's go back to our notes. some of my Let's start. First, I mark the location of the entries and make notes for each one. So... the head wound. Definitely an important clue. This is something we'll investigate first. Even though this type of wound didn't contribute to the deceased's death, we're still required to record it. We're not in frost season yet, but high humidity, wind, and the inability to warm up can also be causes of frostbite. If Toby's body was cold for a prolonged period, the frostbite could have resulted from the body's defense reaction. The safety of the internal organs is more important than fingers, nose, or ears. As you can see, we don't have various types of accidents are a common cause of death among the homeless and the elderly. Perhaps old Toby slipped and accidentally hit his head. This is of no interest to us. Considering the conditions in which he slept, his body may have become hypothermic. The nights have been particularly nasty lately. We will check if there are any signs of freezing internally. Since the deceased clearly smelled of alcohol, I'll add alcohol poisoning to our list. We still have one thing left from the basics: rigor mortis. Well, we take our deceased by the hand, gradually we raise it, now let it go. As you can see, the hand falls loose. What's the conclusion? Death must have occurred more than 72 hours ago. The police information appears correct. Head trauma seems the most promising, so we'll start there. For this, I need an oscillating saw. The cut is made from ear to ear. After which, we remove the skin and the top of the skull. After the basic examination, we can see that the brain's cerebral gyri in both hemispheres are symmetric. The brain looks good. Let's take a cross-section. Some pathologists prefer to examine organs without removing them. However, for me, it's much more convenient to examine them on a board, which we'll do now. Holding a long, narrow blade knife in the dominant hand, we slowly cut the cranial nerves on both sides, all the time pulling the brain towards us. So far, so good. The hematoma seems to have had no effect on the brain. We can rule the fatal accident out as well. Brain is in good condition, so we have no choice but to proceed to the internal examination of the other organs. I grab a scalpel from my kit. The incision should be in the shape of a letter Y. We use a deep cut to reach all the way to the ribs and to penetrate the abdominal wall. Alright, now we peel back and separate the skin. Now, we need to remove the ribs. We'll need the loppers for this. Quite a satisfying crunch, for some anyway. After removing the cartilage tissue, we instantly notice two things. Firstly, there is no congestion of the internal organs. This means that although the deceased was hypothermic, it didn't kill him. Secondly, the deceased smoked like a chimney. So, we should take a closer look at those lungs. We can see widespread black and tarry deposits caused by smoking cigarettes. Despite the tragic condition of the lungs, they are not the cause of death. Alice smoked too. It didn't kill her, but... what was I talking about? Lungs. Yes. Advanced inflammation. What now? The syringe. Now's a good time to collect some samples. Specifically 3. From the eye, the heart, and the bladder. I'm interested to see the concentration of alcohol in the body. Vitreous humor analysis is very useful in indicating long-term alcohol abuse. Now from the bladder, we draw about 10 milliliters of fluid. 5 milliliters from the left ventricle should do it. Now we take our samples to the centrifuge, but before I do that, I need to find my notebook. My dyscalculia means that I always double-check the settings. Please excuse me while I run and fetch it. This whole thing is covered in stains. I should check this out under the microscope sometime. Let's get back to the examination. We put all of the samples into the rotor. Now, we set the appropriate time and speed. Okay, let's roll. Oh shit, the fuses again. Where were we? Oh yes, the blood alcohol concentration. Let's see what we've got here. Everything's separated as it should. Our lab is closed until tomorrow after the last, incident. However, considering that Toby's favorite eau de parfum appears to be ethanol, I'm guessing the results won't surprise me at all. Let's go further. We will now focus on the cardiovascular system, specifically the heart. We remove the organ and examine it closely. We look for dark hypoxic areas, clots, or other elements that stand out as abnormal. At first glance, the heart looks fine. The pulmonary trunk and aorta seem to be in good condition. There are no pathological changes that would have contributed to Toby's death. Now let's take a closer look at the stomach. Size is normal, healthy, pink color, and as expected, the stomach has no major external damage. We must now cut it open and inspect inside. We will do it carefully so that its contents do not spill out. We open the stomach along the greater curvature, from the heart to the pyloric end. Oh, I already feel like there's something left inside. Okay, large amount of gas, small amounts of yellow, grayish food content, resembling some kind of meat. Either our deceased hadn't eaten in days, or the bulk of his stomach had already found a way out. Looks like I'll have to find the missing contents. There are two ways here. One is obvious, and the other is... It couldn't have been suffocation, could it? I'll add this to the list and move on to the deceased's neck. At first glance, the trachea looks normal. Same result as with the stomach. The external inspection doesn't tell us anything. This time we'll cut on a tray. While cutting such a small organ as the trachea, we must make a precise incision. To be able to cut with the very tip of the blade, we must hold the scalpel as we would a pen. And after careful examination and deduction, we've got it. A clogged trachea. It's time to summarize the whole thing. Based on the report and preliminary documentation, it's safe to assume that the deceased passed out after consumption of alcohol and then fell asleep on his back. Then, the gastric contents refluxed and flooded the airways, causing death. That's why we don't forget about the recovery position at dorm parties. And now it's all clear. The death was suffocation. Now, signature. The mystery is solved. But for us, this is not the end. First, the dead body needs to be cleaned up. For this, we will need to close the body and grab the needle. First, we unroll the skin flaps. And then, we sew the deceased back up. I'm using the baseball stitch technique. This stitching method is very strong and quick to do. Beautiful. Now we say goodbye to the deceased and put them safely in the fridge, ready for the next stage of their journey. God, I'm tired. I'll drop these samples off at the lab on the way to the bar. I'll call Steven. I don't feel like drinking alone today. Forgive me. What? Christ. What a dream. Fuck. Time flies, and probably doesn't have to get up to work. I wasn't able to support her through this. Till death do us part. Till death do us part. It was a miracle that the coffee didn't wash off the writing. And that she said yes. She got it for her first day of work, and she broke it the same day. She said it was for luck. These were from Thanksgiving. Stephen invited me. I was going to give them to his mother, but then I met Alice. That was the first time I saw her. It's always good to have something for a rainy day. It's been almost a year. I really need to get this laundry done. Alice didn't like this portrait. So much light everywhere. Some days, I just feel like setting fire to all this paper. An indispensable element of every office. I should really try and read a few of these. A pill a day keeps the defective Jack away. It's a shame these won't help with my hangover. It's just too dirty to use. The fucking phone. Okay. I know I'm late. I'll be there soon. It's not like the dead are impatient.
Jack, no.
Alice? Who is this?
It's Charlotte Graves.
Oh God, I'm sorry. I didn't recognize you. I thought it was work calling.
It's okay. I hate it when work calls me at home, too. How is everything? We haven't talked since... you know.
Well, there are good days, and there are bad days. What can I say? At least I can hide away at work.
Well, you always were the most comfortable in the dissecting room. Listen, I have an unusual request.
Okay, how can I help?
It's nothing serious. I just wanted to ask, do you have any pictures of Alice? Maybe one where the two of us are together? I'd love to have something to remind me of her.
I guess. I'm not sure. I'll look through her things.
Thank you. I'm sorry to trouble you with this. All this can't be easy for you.
I'll get through it somehow. I've been meaning to sort through her stuff for a while. Have you asked Stephen if he has anything?
Yes, I spoke with him this morning. He said he gave everything to their mother and that I should ask you.
I see.
Jack, I know you're trying. That you cope somehow. Stephen's there for you. Although, well, we all know how he can be. But, I mean, if you wanted to reminisce about Alice, talk.
I really should go now. I overslept, I'm late for work, and I still have some errands to run on the way.
Oh. Okay, sure. Sorry to keep you.
I'll look for something and send it over. Thanks for the call, and bye.
Oh, do you have my address?
Not on hand. You'd best remind me again.
292 Browning Lane, apartment 432, Johnson City, New York, 13790.
Got it. Thanks.
Thank you. It would mean a lot to me. Just miss her so much.
Yeah, me too. And that's okay. Really, no problem.
Thank you. Take care, Jack.
You too, Charlotte. It was nice to hear you. Well, that was a bit unexpected. I should probably find something to send. Menu for today: dinner in town and takeaway coffee. Nah, I'll shower later. I'm not in the mood for music lately. I still feel uneasy. At this time, Alice would probably be sitting here reading a book. The remnants of last night's binge with Steven. I'm not sure if it's still edible. An indispensable element of every office. I should really try and read a few of these. Alice and Charlotte in Amsterdam. It's hard to believe they've known each other for so long. It would be better if Charlotte had this. It deserves to be on display and not hidden in a drawer. Okay, time to go to work. I'm seriously late. I should grab some coffee and aspirin on the way. Oh shit, almost left the door open. These fluorescent tubes are brutal. Standard correspondence consisting of bills, advertising leaflets, and... hope this helps, Charlotte. Okay. All done here. Time to go. Huh? Damn, I forgot my jacket. Well, I'll brave it for tonight. Too bad. Nice and fresh. At least it's peaceful here. Good evening, Mr. Ridley.
The timesheet handman.
Some corpses have more personality than this guy. Christ. Who leaves the window open in the middle of November? So I'd better check the answering machine.
Hi, Jack. I dropped by a little early today. I left the body with Ridley in the corridor. He wasn't sitting in the locker then, so maybe he'll even throw him into the room. Well, how are you doing? I mean, it's your first birthday without her, and... I still have a hangover, and you know me, I run to the John like the neighbor's fucking dog. You know, today I slipped on his shit again. That fucking furball. He always has to shit next to my car. Anyway, I can't come over in the evening, but we'll catch up on the weekend, okay? Bye. I almost forgot. Charlotte called me this morning. She asked about you, so answer your calls, Jack. This time it's not a reprimand for being late.
That's par for the course. I wonder when this clown will learn to look under his feet. What? Still no mold? What kind of cheap and nasty coffee is this? Birthday. I actually forgot it was today. Alice baked me muffins like these every birthday. A treat for later. I always crave something sweet after a section. Okay, joke's over. Apron, gloves, and get to work. I remember you. You were on that talent show. What was your name again? I need to order another batch of these. I've got to remember to do that later. And that's the whole point. Steven laughs at me for recording everything. He says I have a bigger collection of stuff like this than most of the creeps he's caught. November 21st, 1991. Time, 9:13 p.m. The autopsy is conducted by Jack Hanman, lecturer for the Medical University of Missouri. After yesterday's lecture, you should already know the ins and outs, so today we'll be consolidating our knowledge. So, where do I start? That's right, police folder. When questioned, friends admitted that Samantha's last days before losing contact seemed extremely happy and relaxed. She also quit drinking alcohol and mentioned something about rehab. The friend also admits that there was no indication of an impending tragedy. After her first album became a commercial success, she was hit with a creative drought. She suffered panic attacks and severe sleep problems. Drugs and medication came into play. The deceased was found in her own apartment, in a semi-recumbent position on an armchair. Large quantities of alcohol and empty packets of sleeping pills were also found in the apartment. During the interrogation, a friend of the deceased admitted that Samantha never got to grips with the sudden fame that came after winning such a high-profile talent show. Found in her own apartment by police patrol, officers were called by a concerned friend of the deceased, who had been unable to contact Barker for several days. Ah, yes, Samantha Barker. Now I remember. There's probably going to be a lot of chatter about this. Well, let's see what settled this matter. As you can see, the body is fully clothed. Therefore, before we move on to photographic documentation, Okay, now we can continue with the examination. Again, begin by taking photographs of the cadaver. I guarantee that over time it will cease being embarrassing for you. First, we photograph the whole body. And now, any suspicious-looking marks or wounds. Yes, I've seen this many times. Interesting. Very uneven. We need to investigate this. You don't get such bruises from a normal contusion. Well, there's even more here. A few we will need to look into here. Notes prepared. Time to take a closer look. Some furrows have imprinted more strongly, others less, as if someone was, undecided? The number of bruises suggests that there may have been some kind of tussle. Such bruises are caused by either a very heavy blow or by some internal issues. And And here's something interesting. The skin of the deceased is covered with numerous blisters. Some of them are ruptured. Others still contain fluid residue. More numerous blisters. We have some leads to investigate here. Let's write this down. On the neck of the deceased, we can see clear furrows, indicating that strangulation may be the probable cause of death. Given the condition of the deceased, it's difficult to tell immediately whether the bruises were the result of a struggle or perhaps the result of iron deficiency. Currently, it's difficult to say whether the bruises were the result of a beating or whether it could be some kind of internal bleeding. In general, such blisters usually appear in the case of mechanical abrasions, but due to the place of occurrence, this should be excluded. The most likely cause of such skin changes is the high concentration of barbiturates in the body. Although it's easier to have abrasions on your feet, but the number and size of the blisters suggests that it's probably a matter of barbiturate poisoning. A severed spinal cord, trauma to the larynx, or trachea will verify whether the hanging was the final nail in Miss Barker's coffin. Examination with a UV lamp will dispel some doubts. Potential attackers could have left traces. After examining the organs, we can easily verify whether there was internal bleeding or whether the deceased was suffering from something. I'll add barbiturates to the list of necessary tests. To be checked in the lab later. Given the testimony of the victim's friend, I add alcohol poisoning to the list of potential causes of Miss Barker's death. A blood test will no doubt quickly verify that hypothesis. But first I'll check for external traces. For this we use the good old UV lamp. I look carefully at the whole body. UV rays will reveal any traces. The area around the head is empty. Torso, empty without marks. Right hand clean. The left hand seems to be fine. No marks. Legs, there's nothing here. Well, nothing to surprise us here. Now gently, we take the deceased by the hand. And we check for rigor mortis. Again, the hand falls freely. After yesterday, you should know what this means. Since we don't have a definitive lead, we will examine all the key organs one by one. So, I'm starting the internal inspection. I dissect the skin of the deceased. And I proceed to deflect the skin flaps. Compared with yesterday's body, the deceased has only trace amounts of adipose tissue. Now for the ribs. What do we have here? Or rather, what don't we have? There is certainly no sign of internal bleeding. Sometimes regarding bruising, it doesn't take much. My wife was constantly banging into furniture, walking into door frames. That's a wonder she never broke anything. Before I disembowel the deceased, I will take samples for toxicological tests to determine the alcohol content in the body. All done. I'll transfer these to the centrifuge. What was it? 15, 70, 10, 75? Maybe one day I won't need my notebook. Numbers have never been my strong point. It's probably why I regularly forgot birthdays and anniversaries. I'm lucky Alice always forgave me. Gently does it with this old thing. Handle with kid gloves. I'm starting the centrifuge. Let's see what results come out. The laboratory is already open, so... Fucking hell! Ridley! Mr. Ridley! Where is he? The fuses need resetting. Fuck it. I'll do it myself. I swear there was a flashlight in here. Whatever. I know where the switches are anyway. First the right, and then the left. And voila. What? What the? Oh, for fuck's sake. Can't I work in peace? Jack Hanman speaking.
Easy, why so rude?
Steve? Sorry, man. This place is falling apart, and Ridley won't even lift a finger to help. You just can't work here.
Did the centrifuge strip the fuses again?
Yeah. Eventually, everything's gonna go up in smoke.
Look on the bright side. It's a free cremation with your autopsy.
Jesus, stop it. That shit pisses me off.
Okay, sorry, Jack. Anyway, I'm calling to ask how the autopsy's going. Soon there'll be journalists sniffing around for info, so we'd best be ready.
I'll whiz through this in a couple of hours. It doesn't look like a complicated case to me. More of a formality. The report will be available in the morning.
Sounds great. Thanks. Phew! How's your head?
Well, my head seems better than yours. On the way to work.
Holy fuck. Jack, turn on the radio.
What? What's happening?
Quiet.
A 3-car police convoy was involved in an accident near Pete's Bay Bridge while transporting prisoners to Orleans Parish Prison. At the moment, we do not know the exact number of victims or whether any of the convicts escaped. However, the scale of the accident indicates a large number of victims, possibly even fatal ones. Police are on their way to investigate the incident and secure the area. We know that the injured prisoners are on death row. The police were to transport them to their execution, which was to take place tomorrow morning. Many of them are very dangerous criminals. We will report on the matter on an ongoing basis, so stay tuned with us.
What? Was... Steven... Was Red Pete one of the passengers? He was, wasn't he? What if he survived?
Jack, I have to go. They want me on site.
What if he survived?
I gotta go. Talk to you later, okay?
Fuck. Calm down, Jack. Pills. I need my pills. You heard him, Jack. A serious accident. Lots of victims. He's definitely dead. Nothing's going to happen. Christ. I've got to get back to work. What? Technical break. At least I know I can pursue a career as a janitor. My old but trusted centrifuge. My old but trusted centrifuge. Ideal for all the fluid tests I need to perform during an autopsy. Fucking hell! Alright, let's see if we were able to get anything out of this piece of crap. And miraculously, yes. The samples did spin. I'll transfer them to the chromograph in the lab. Alright, let's load this up. I placed the test tubes in the rack. Now, just take 5 milliliters from each. Precisely. And the next. Five more. We put the prepared sample into the machine. Let's see what we have here. The results indicate that the deceased did consume alcohol shortly before her death. However, this is not an amount that could cause poisoning leading to death. Just slight inebriation. I can return to the body and continue the rest of the examination. The chromatograph results show that we can eliminate alcohol poisoning from our list of potential causes of death. However, remember that alcohol can affect the functioning of the entire body. It disturbs the heart rhythm, accelerating its rate, and dilutes the blood, which may result in more severe bleeding in the event of an accident. Also remember that alcohol affects the metabolism of drugs in the liver, which I'll now look at in more detail. First, I'll pick up the syringe again. I'll take samples from the liver and the heart to test the concentration of barbiturates in the body. That's enough. I'll do the test later. I'd best not try my luck with the centrifuge right now. Now I remove the liver. No lesions. However, it is slightly enlarged. Perhaps it's a slight inflammation or drug-induced damage. It may also be the result of the deposition of substances from drugs. Let's check the weight of the organ. The weight is 1,300 grams. The liver is enlarged. I'll move on to a cross-sectional study. Perhaps the enlargement is the result of early cancerous changes. The blade glides through smoothly. I don't feel like I'm encountering any changes with an unusual structure. No steatosis or cirrhosis. The liver is actually quite clean inside. The liver is basically healthy. We already know that the deceased didn't abuse alcohol. The question is, what about drugs or other substances? I move on to the heart. Oh. At a glance, we can see signs of a heart attack. The deceased is definitely too young to have a heart attack due to natural causes. The liver is enlarged, not from alcohol poisoning, and the heart looks like it has collapsed. So, I guess we need to go to the centrifuge and check for these barbiturates. The last time I saw this kind of poisoning was a few years ago. I better check the data in my notebook. He was a middle-aged guy. He took his medication and forgot about it. So, he took another pill. He forgot again and took another one. All right. We close the centrifuge and pray that it doesn't trip anything again. It looks like our luck is in. We can take the samples to the lab now. I wonder how she was able to get hold of these drugs. Okay, 2 samples this time. 6 milliliters each. Well, let's see how much of it we find. Nothing surprising. Significant amounts of phenobarbital metabolites of hepatic origin. Looks like I'll have to check the contents of the deceased's stomach. The tests showed that the collected blood contained enough barbiturates to cause cardiopulmonary collapse. The question now is whether it was an accident or a deliberate act. I'm proceeding to examine the stomach. Before extraction, I ligate the entire organ to prevent its contents from spilling out. Okay, I'm now cutting out the organ, which will move to the board for dissection. Normally, the stomach and intestines are full of surprises. But not this time. We see remnants of undigested food and a dense mass of pills. You don't take this many drugs by accident. Length and width normal. No obvious pathological changes. Undigested drugs found in the stomach of the deceased. The direct cause of death was probably an overdose. I'll check the rest of the organs, and then the nervous system. Lungs are normal, no lesions. The victim was probably a smoker, but was unlikely to be in any serious danger. The deceased's trachea is normal. Complete patency. No food or fluid. The deceased's intestine is normal. No clear pathological changes. Abdominal cavity checked off. We can check the brain. I make a cut to open the lid of the victim's skull and remove the brain. Brain is normal. No obvious lesions. Alright. I need to dissect it on a board. Using a knife, I carefully cut through the brain tissue. I peek inside a bit, and... I don't think there's anything worth noting. As expected, the deceased's brain is in excellent condition. No discoloration or changes due to hypoxia. There is still the matter of the marks on the neck. They look superficial, but who knows? Maybe the spinal cord has been severed. I need goggles and a saber saw. I think the goggles were in the desk drawer. Oh, they're out there. Alice. Saw. I need saw. Fuck. I don't see it here. Oh. I know. I probably left it in the basement after its last cleaning. Mr. Ridley, I need a key to the basement.
It's in the social room.
Why is the key lying at the... Never mind. Thank you.
Hey, Hammond. Did you hear about the convoy? Or maybe you'll get a chance to relive your glory days and catch Red Beat again, huh?
Let's hope there won't be a need for that. If only he could put that much enthusiasm into his work. I get the feeling that searching through this rubbish is more pathogenic than working with corpses. Please, may this be the last trip. Fuck. Why did the prison convoy have to get into an accident? Jack, take a deep breath. Deep, pleasantly cool breath. You're nearly finished with the autopsy. Then you can go home and rest. I'll take the saw. Fuck! It's jammed! Doesn't anyone do maintenance around here? Damn hatch. Damn red Pete. Will I ever in? Will I? If only. It would be easier if I put things away properly. Damn student lectures and their fucking props. And like clockwork, he's already sleeping. Sorry for the short interruption. I hope you all took the opportunity to grab some coffee. And now that I have everything I need, I'll move on to revealing the spinal cord. The spine is removed. I can see that the spinal cord was not severed. This shows that apart from the marks around the neck, hanging didn't negatively affect the condition of the deceased. Ladies and gentlemen, almost over. Now, to sum up and tidy away the body. The direct cause of Samantha Barker's death was a heart attack resulting from an overdose of barbiturates. Traces found on the body suggest that the overdose was a deliberate act, following a failed attempt to hang herself. The autopsy found no evidence or genetic materials indicating that death could have been the result of an attack. Third-party involvement must be excluded. autograph, and we can start sewing. In the 1950s and 1960s, the use of barbiturates for suicide was actually quite common. I think it was most talked about after the death of Marilyn Monroe. At home, it was a help and comfort. On death row, a farewell to the convicts. Well, we're done for today. Thank you for your attention. Tiring day. I can feel those hunger pains coming on. I guess I'll have to pick something up along the way. Gloves in the trash, leave the apron for cleaning. Now I can go. Camera. A nightcap will do me good. Good night, Mr. Ridley. The police will pick up the body and accompanying documentation in the morning.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
I guess there are actually two things in this world you can be certain of. Death and Ridley's reluctant attitude. Alright, maybe three things. My whiskey on the rocks when I get home. So cold. I guess I should have brought my jacket to work. This block can be quite intimidating when it's so quiet. Almost there. Stephen didn't want to go out for a drink tonight, so I'll drink my whiskey in the company of my TV. Shit. I forgot the muffin. Well, Ridley will have a nice treat for the night. I'm sure he'll be his happy, thankful self tomorrow. fuck? But I locked it. I'm sure of it. Who the fuck did this? I don't have anything valuable. Money. They must have stolen the money.